Hey Ted,
Hello, Dan.
long time.
Many moons have risen.
Now I'm looking at the wild card standings, and I have to tell you, the Reds are only 9.5 games out of the wild card, so don't give up.
You're an optimistic person, Dan.
All
I
right.
just I just want to have a better record than the Royals and probably the Nationals, I think. I think the Nationals are probably stinking up the league too.
Oh, the Nationals are terrible. They're worse than you guys.
Yeah, they have Juan Soto though, don't they?
Yeah, they do have Juan Soto, but the Mets just swept them. So,
Yeah, maybe we
but
should play the
really, don't give
Nationals.
up hope. 9.5 games out of the wild card, and it's only June 1st. So,
Yeah, they've actually been playing good baseball lately. The pitching has been pretty good.
yeah,
Luis Castillo is back, and he looks when he's healthy, he he's pretty unhittable.
yeah,
So, and
yeah,
he was great last night in Boston. So we'll see.
yeah.
It's a long season, 162 games.
Yep, it's just getting started. It's not even summer yet, so
I know. All
things turn around.
right, we'll check
Anyway,
back
it's good to
in.
see you, and I'm looking forward to our discussion tonight.
Yes, our
As
favorite.
you see, I wore my Vermont T-shirt for you.
Oh, nice. I
Okay.
missed the chubby muffin.
Yeah.
I think I have to go on a field trip to the airport to see if they still have a kiosk there.
Such a great place. I can't believe they closed.
I know the muffins, the egg sandwiches, the coffee. It
Good
was
stuff.
a couple blocks from my house. Oh,
I used to look forward to that. It was great.
I know.
So, what are we talking about tonight? Our favorite guitarists, right?
Yes. How many do you have? 10 probably?
I have 10, and then I have like a whole mess of honorable mentions.
Oh, okay.
But I
That's
think
yeah.
we should emphasize, right, that this is not the greatest guitarist of all time. There's a million
Right.
of those lists. These are our favorite guitarists.
Right. Yeah. Because when everyone
So,
says, "Oh, the greatest drummer," you're like, "No, it's not."
yeah,
You know.
we're not talking about like technical ability or,
Right. We're talking about who we like to listen to,
yes,
who adds to the song,
yes,
who
right.
uh who brings that joie de vivre that makes us turn it up a little bit more.
Yeah. Uh, so people may not hear the familiar names that often fill up these lists.
Right. That's true.
And
Yeah.
that's a good thing, right? Because we're talking about our love of music
Yeah.
and our
Oh
love
yeah.
for these musicians who make the
Mhm.
songs great. So,
That's true.
without further ado, I think you should go first tonight, being that you yourself are a stellar guitar player.
I don't think I'm on anybody's favorite list, but I'll go first. Um, all right. I don't. This is in no particular order.
No
'Cause I didn't.
particular order.
I didn't do a lot of research. I went and got some water and I wrote down a bunch of names. The first name I wrote down was Curtis Mayfield. Um, Curtis Mayfield grew up in Chicago in the Cabrini Green housing projects. Not a lot of money, but they had a piano in their house. Um, and he found a guitar and he tuned his guitar to the black keys of the piano. So he
Hmm.
had this really interesting way of like fingering these chords that if you were watching, you'd be like, what is he doing? But he went on to, form the Impressions with Jerry Butler, It's All Right, and People Get Ready. He went on to have a great solo career um, as a performer and as a producer. He worked with Aretha Franklin. He worked with the Staple Singers. Um, his solo his solo career. I mean, he did the Superfly soundtrack, and I think his guitar playing was just really unique. One, the way he tuned the guitar,
That's amazing.
and just watching him play, he looks like he's barely touching the strings when he's playing.
So
Um,
did he keep that tuning as he got
yeah,
his own
he
career? Like
did.
he always tuned his guitar to those notes?
Yeah, that's the way he learned, and that's the way he played. And
Huh.
his son actually wrote a biography of him a few years ago that I read. And Curtis Mayfield passed away, I guess probably maybe 10 years ago. But he was worried that that wouldn't be passed on to anybody. He was His son was like, no one knows what you're doing. But I've seen a couple of YouTube, like how to tune your guitar like Curtis Mayfield. And there's a great story of the Impressions traveling from Chicago to play at the Apollo. And the Apollo had the house band. And, they had to learn songs on the spot sometimes. And they would watch people's hands. And I guess there was the Apollo house guitarist was watching Curtis Mayfield's hands, like not knowing what was going on.
Hmm.
So then he had to listen by ear. Um, so that's my number 10, Curtis Mayfield.
All right, that's a very good start. Very good start. Well, I'll start with somebody who also is kind of famous for their alternate tunings,
Yeah.
which is Nick Drake.
Ah, good one.
You
Yeah.
could easily just pass him along as sort of just a folky guitar, folky acoustic guitar player. But
Hmm.
go ahead and try to learn one of his songs, and you'll find out mighty fast
Right.
what a gifted player he was,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
and particularly for developing those tunings, which I'm sure he didn't invent those tunings, but he really made them work for him in terms of his own songwriting.
Yeah.
Um, and so, those chord progressions in those tunings that he came up with give his song such a instantly recognizable vibe that it's him.
Hmm. Yep.
And also his picking patterns, and I don't know enough to start rattling off this kind of picking pattern and that kind of picking pattern. I don't have that
Right.
kind of knowledge, but it's very unique.
Oh
And
yeah.
it, for me, it makes his songs some of my favorite songs of all time, and makes him one of my most his guitar playing is one of my favorite guitar playing
Oh yeah.
listen to. That's a terrible sentence, but
No, I know what you mean. Yeah.
you know what I mean, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I can just lose myself in his guitar playing.
Oh yeah. Have you heard the recordings that his mother did?
Yeah, yeah.
You can kind of see where
Molly Drake.
yeah, you can kind of like make you can see the influence on him.
Yeah, definitely. What would you
Yeah.
call her style? Was sort of like it's not classical exactly. It's sort of, but folk hadn't really been invented yet when she was
I think she
right
might
when
have
she
been.
played the piano. It's kind of
Mm,
it's just a very melancholic kind of
mm,
uh I guess pop piano playing, but it's very, very um yeah, like her style also. Like I would know her piano playing,
right. Yeah. Yeah.
just like I would know his guitar playing.
Oh yeah. No, that's a good one. Yeah, I love Nick Drake. Good
Yeah.
choice. All right. We got to keep moving, right?
Keep moving. Yeah, we're running.
We have a new contract from Zoom.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going from R&B to Americana country,
Hmm.
and Buddy Miller is my next choice.
Okay.
Um, Buddy Miller is someone I saw back in the 90s. Friend of mine worked on his tour and they came to Burlington, him and Jim Lauderdale. And I was just blown away by his musicianship. He's not only a great guitar player, but you can tell he's has purchase. He like when he sings, he just like hits those notes, and his guitar playing is so kind of soulful, and um, he never overplays. He always he always seems to just figure out the right way to fit his guitar in. I mean, he's played with Emmylou Harris for years in that
Mm.
great band she had in the 90s. He's done records with his wife Julie, which are um, just phenomenal records. And of course, he's produced, you know, so many people. I mean, at his house in Nashville. But I just find his guitar playing really soulful, never flashy, but you can always kind of tell it's him. He always kind of puts his stamp on it without, over exaggerating who he is.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, Buddy Miller.
I've got to listen to some more Buddy Miller.
Yeah,
When I go into the country world, I kind of go into Chet Atkins and um,
right.
some of those folks. But yeah, Buddy Miller is another great player in that genre. Really, really good.
Yeah,
Uh,
just very musical. Everything he does is, yeah.
yeah. Well, I'll stick with you there for a little bit. I'm going to go with
Okay.
Willie Nelson as my next choice.
Ooh, nice.
You know, not someone who's normal. Not, like, that's probably not the first thing you would think of when you think of Willie Nelson. You probably think of his songwriting and
Right.
his singing style, which is also so unique. But
Yeah.
you know, he's got a really signature guitar playing style with a really signature guitar
Yeah.
that
Right.
you know, it's very hard to mistake that it's anybody but him. You know,
Hmm.
that nylon string, first of
Oh
all,
yeah. Yep.
which is a little unusual in the country world, right? It's more of a steel,
Yeah.
uh, I think, I guess, but
Hmm.
um, you know, and he's definitely got some jazz chops in there, right?
Oh
His
yeah.
He was a huge fan of jazz and blues.
Yeah.
So you hear those chords in his playing,
Hmm.
which are very hard to replicate, and
Oh yeah.
it's deceiving how challenging his songs are to play if you want to play them the way he's playing them, as opposed to
Yep.
just playing like, you know, campfire chords.
Hmm.
Um, but just beautiful playing, and again, they're also very soulful
Yeah.
and
It's got a great tone.
yeah, beautiful tone. And
Yeah.
yeah, I read that article. I think I sent it to you about the guy who keeps fixing Trigger
Oh
over
yeah.
the years
Yeah. Yeah.
with duct tape and
Yeah. Yeah.
glue and keeps it going
Yep. Isn't that
for Willie so
crazy?
that he never has to replace that guitar.
Yeah. A
Um,
friend of mine in Austin got to hold Trigger once. He worked in a music store.
oh yeah,
Willie Nelson came in. He goes, I don't want to play. I just want to hold your guitar. And he was like, okay.
yeah.
But,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, I've seen him two or three times now, and every time he comes out with that thing, you're just like, what the heck, you know?
Right.
It's just
It kind of,
you can't believe it's going to even make it through the show, and
and it does.
let alone sound as beautiful as it does. So
Right. It goes against all those kind of purists, that make sure their neck is clean and their truss rod is like adjusted properly. And
yeah,
here comes Willie Nelson.
so he's my number two.
Oh, nice. All right. Moving right along. This next person is kind of strangely connected to Buddy Miller, but only, you know, in a weird way. It's Mark Ribot, um, who got his start. He's from New Jersey. He's most famously known for playing with Tom Waits, right?
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
on those great, you know, um, those great Waits records of the '80s. He also played the Lounge Lizards. He's got kind of like this kind of herky jerky style.
Hmm.
Um, and he made a record with Buddy Miller and Bill Frisell and Greg Leese called The Majestic Silver Strings about 10 years ago. And they
Hmm.
all kind of got together at Buddy Miller's house. And it was very like, what are these guys doing together? Mark Ribot is kind of like this downtown New York noise Frisell, but it worked, and it's a really cool record. Um, but and Mark Ribot he's always taking chances. He's done like these kind of Cuban-based records.
Hmm.
He's done kind of like noise records. He's done his guitar teacher growing up was a guy named Franz Casillas, who was a really well-known Cuban or not Cuban, Haitian classical guitar player. And so Mark Ribot did a whole record dedicated to his song. So he played classical guitar on one record.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, Mark Ribot, he's been a big influence.
Wow.
And I've seen him a few times, and it's always, I don't know, it's great. He's got this great energy about him,
Yeah.
you know.
Very cool.
Yeah,
Does he play on the Mule Variations album?
probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
There's some
yeah,
really nice guitar playing on that album.
I think he is on that, and he's on those famous, Rain Dogs and
Yeah.
um, Frank's Wild
Frank's
Years.
Wild Years. Yeah.
Yeah, not. I don't think he was on Swordfish Trombones, but I think from Rain Dogs on, he was,
Yeah.
he was all over it. So
Hmm.
yeah, Mark Ribot.
Cool. Well, I'll stay in your herky jerky land.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go with Nels Klein as my
Oh yeah,
next favorite guitar. So
great choice.
as fans of our show, I'm sure realize by now, Wilco is probably my favorite band, not named the Beatles, possibly of all time. So yeah, so his playing is he takes them to another level. He's not in the original lineup
Right.
when they formed, but since he's joined, he's added a significant aspect to their overall
Yeah.
songwriting and surely, for sure stage performances, but also just like, he's a really unusual, weird player in a lot of ways.
Hmm.
He comes
Yep.
up with lines that are just really unusual,
Yeah.
sometimes very abstract and discordant,
Hmm.
but that's cool. I mean, that's what kind of like, combined with uh, Jeff Tweedy's writing style, it just makes for a really nice combination.
Yeah. He
Um,
does. Yeah. He's a phenomenal player. He's just, I think like Rabot, he just kind of dives into things. I've seen stuff where he's done like an evening of Thelonious Monk songs, you know,
yeah.
and he does that project with his wife. Um,
Mhm.
I'm blanking on her name now. But that's kind of more experimental stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look up that. I mean, I know you've seen it, but for people who may not have ever seen the video of Impossible Germany, the live,
Oh yeah.
and just watch him go into the zone where even the other band, like Jeff Tweedy, looks at him and just smiles, like he just
Yeah.
can't believe what he's seeing,
Right. Right. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so Nels Klein is definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah. Good choice. This is fun. All right. Who's my next choice? Where's my list? Um, I'm gonna go across the ocean to Mali, and I'm gonna pick Ali Fakat Toure, a kind of desert blues guitarist.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he's got this great tone. He's done these amazing records. He's kind of a he's I think he would probably fall within the blues, but it's desert blues. It's kind of trance feel, but he comes up with these
Where across the ocean did you just go?
Mali. Yeah. Um, but he creates these great soundscapes and these great blues lines that you kind of you know you recognize from knowing like American blues, but there's like this West and North African influence to it. you know
Mm-hmm.
the accents may be a little different, and maybe on the end of four instead of one, but you recognize, it's like it's kind of like, well, I think music in America, there's never a straight line, with any kind of genre that comes out of America, right? But so you can pinpoint like, well, the blues has this West African and Islamic influence, and you can hear that in his music. And so I don't know, just I love listening to him. He's
Yeah,
a
I know
great
what you
player.
mean about those accents when you get into when you get away from traditional like Western
Yeah.
playing, and you hear where the notes land
Hmm.
rhythmically.
Yep.
You hear that difference, is very cool.
Oh
Like,
yeah. Yeah. I think I was talking to
challenges you
some.
as a listener, which is great.
It does, and as a player too, it's like, you know, and I was talking to someone about like the Moroccan style and Tunisian style. It's kind of based on dancing, like how the dances are too. So like if the accent's like on an upbeat, the musicians
Mhm.
will kind of fall in line with that. So
Mhm.
yeah. So
Nice.
Ali Farka Toure.
Very cool. Maybe later we'll put the names in the in the with the video for
Oh
some
yeah.
names that may slip by. Um, okay, cool. I'm gonna get into some heavy hitters here. Uh,
Your other ones, your other
by
ones.
which I guess I just mean maybe names that are a little more associated with guitar playing.
Uh-huh.
And my next is I'm going to go with the Allman Brothers combination of Dwayne Allman and Dickie Betts together.
Ah.
Um, they're both amazing individual guitar players, but I think the magic is really at their combination, those harmonies, that sort of
Hmm.
signature Allman Brothers, uh, uh, the harmonies that they created, which often
Hmm.
were improvised, which is unbelievable. I was reading that book by Jerry Wexler,
Oh yeah.
and he has a big part of the book where it is about Duane Allman and how amazing he was at such a young age. He was so
Right.
young.
Oh yeah.
Um, as like a 17 or 18-year-old, he was already blowing people away.
Mm.
And he and Dickie Betts would improvise a lot of those harmonies.
Right. Right.
Um, just like incredible how well they connected musically, and
Oh yeah.
um, I love their sound. I get lost in those songs. I really really love them, and it's too bad that Duane Allman, we lost him. He's so young. He died,
Right.
but uh, yeah. So anyway, I'm a big fan, and I also love how he incorporated. He loved jazz also, and pulled in
Hmm.
a lot of jazz ideas and influences into his playing.
Yep.
He
That's
played
true.
on, yeah, he played on a lot of R&B tracks. People don't know that he's on a lot of those tracks.
Oh right. Yeah.
Um,
The old A&M stuff. Yeah.
yeah,
Atlantic Records. Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
So
Cool.
yeah, Duane Allman, Dickie Betts,
All right. You got a twofer.
twofer.
All right. Am I up to number 5 now? I think.
I think so.
All right. I'm gonna go. I'm going. I'm staying outside of America again. I'm gonna go with Manuel Galban from Cuba. Um, and I first heard of him through Ry Cooder. They did a record together in the early 2000s. And Manuel Galban was in this band in Cuba in the 60s called, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, Los Zofiros, I think it's called. And they were huge in Cuba. This was after Castro. Apparently they were like the Beatles of Cuba. Wherever they went, people mobbed them. They were like a vocal group. And
Hmm.
Manuel Galban was like the guitar player, behind them. But they would travel around the country and people would like be screaming.
Mhm.
So they were known as the Cuban Beatles. There's a great documentary on them. But then he after Ry Cooder did the Buena Vista Social Club thing, which Manuel Goldman was a part of, they did the solo record together, which is just beautiful. It's like, it's Cuban based. It's got the Cuban rhythms and those great melodies. And he's just got this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful tone, and just like his note choices are always just like perfect. He's not a fast player, he's not flashy, but his rhythms are really cool, and his little like lines that kind of slide in and out of what Ry Cooder's doing are just great. So Manuel Galban,
Hmm.
and the record is called Mambo Sinuendo. If anybody wants to get it,
Okay, I can't wait to look up some of these players you're mentioning.
yeah, I think you'd like that record a lot. It's
Okay,
an instrumental record, so
yeah,
oh, there's some vocals on it though, actually. So,
yeah,
but mainly instrumental.
great.
Right.
All right, my next one is Elizabeth Cotten.
Ah, nice.
Um, she influenced the Stones tremendously. She's influenced a lot of people. She kind of invented a little bit of a style, I think, that became a
Yeah.
signature style of blues, rock, and pop.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Uh, but it's very, when she plays, it's just very sweet to listen to. It's, her guitars are always a little out of tune, which is great. I love
Hmm.
that feature of her playing, because she probably didn't have a great guitar, and maybe she wasn't being recorded with some of the best equipment.
Right.
I
Right.
don't, I don't know. I mean, a lot of those recordings I think have been really cleaned up by what is she on, the Smithsonian
Yeah, Folkways or something, I think.
Folkways? Okay.
Yeah, Smithsonian. Yeah.
But man, you just listen to her play, let alone her singing and the songs, but just her playing is just so it's so great. It's so clever and
Oh
just
yeah.
interesting and sweet and warm at the same time.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I still play Freight Train all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still trying to figure out, am I playing this right?
Right, because it's got some really cool changes in it, and
Yeah.
the way she lands on those changes is very hard to replicate, you know?
Yeah. That's why I'm like, it's like one of the early songs I learned, but I'm
Yeah.
still like, I don't think I'm playing this right still. I think I'm still figuring this out 40 years later or something, you know.
I want to learn more about her. You know, there must, do you think, is there a documentary about her or?
I don't know. I think there might be a book about her
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
Well, if there isn't a documentary, somebody should make a documentary about her.
I know.
Um, but anyway,
Good one.
Elizabeth Cotton is my next choice.
Nice. Very good. I'm going to go with one of my obvious ones that I probably talk about too much, but it's Richard Thompson, one of my favorite guitar players. Um, Again, he was like probably like Dwayne Allman, really talented at a very young age. I
Hmm.
think, I think when his band Fairport Convention was signed, he was 17 or something crazy. And Joe Boyd, the producer, went to go see him at some club in London, and he said he was playing like, who is this kid? You know, he's playing like this, you know, crazy kind of Bert Yance folk stuff mixed with Django Reinhardt, you know, um, just a very, you know, talented player
Hmm.
and a great songwriter too. You know, sometimes those two don't go together. Um,
Yeah, but when they do, it's almost unfair, right?
yeah, it's almost unfair.
You know,
And they sing what? You
and they,
know,
yeah,
get out of here. And I've seen him numerous times, and he's always, you know, it's always a great show. You know, he's got this great, you know, technique, the hybrid picking technique that he uses. You know, with using the pick and the fingers at the same time, which I still feel really clumsy doing. Great songwriter, great guitar player,
yeah, he's
both
so good.
both acoustic and electric. Also another rarity. You know,
Yeah.
um, yeah, and I think he just keeps chugging along, putting out, you know, quality records. You know, he's 70 right now, I think.
Actually young by some,
Yeah,
like, you know, a lot of his peers are, I think, even
yeah,
older, you know,
that's true
so
because he was so much younger than them in the
yeah,
60s. Yeah.
yeah,
So, yeah, Richard Thompson.
great choice. He's a great guitar player.
Yeah.
One of my favorites too. Well, I'll go across the pond with you, and I will choose, this is probably my number one, but I'll just get it out there now. Probably, I think my favorite guitar player is Mark Knopfler.
Ah,
Um, he's you know his playing immediately, right? Like he's got a signature
right.
sound in
Strat
his
sound.
playing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that he plays without a pick.
Hmm.
Um, he's also, you know, great songwriter,
And he sings.
great singer. um,
Damn
and
those
those
Brits.
those early Dire Straits albums are just,
Yeah.
they've got such a cool vibe. You know, they've got sort of a this sort of moody London at night kind of,
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know.
Right.
Um,
And he's an electric acoustic guy as well. I mean, you
yeah,
can put him on either one and
yeah, and since Dire Straits have kind of wrapped it up, he's also made some really great solo albums, and he collaborates a lot with people.
soundtracks. He's done great soundtracks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
uh, but I gravitate toward his playing, I think, probably more than any guitar player I can think of. I just,
Mm.
it's like the Pied Piper for me. I just follow it. I find it so sweet to listen to, but also so dirty and crunchy. And
Yeah.
you know, when he gets down in the dirt, it's so good.
Right. Right.
But then when he just warms it up and plays just really those sweet songs of theirs,
Hmm.
uh, you know, and then he also put some great effects on.
Oh yeah.
Um, and we're being told that it's our last 10 minutes. So
All right.
we'll move along quickly. But yeah, Mark Knopfler.
All right. Good one. I guess I'm up to number 6. I'm going to go with Sister Rosetta Tharpe.
Yeah.
If there was any justice in the world, she would be known as the inventor of rock and roll, probably.
Is she in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
I don't know. I mean, she should be.
She
It's the
should be.
rock. Yeah.
I'm gonna look
There
that
sh-
up immediately once we're
there
done.
probably should be a big, statue of her out front or something.
I think so,
An
yes.
amazing guitar player. Her version of Down by the Riverside is just amazing, I think. Um, Great guitar player, big personality, you know.
Was she the
Also,
first person to use an electric guitar in blues rock,
I think she might have been, yeah. She did a
right?
lot of
I mean,
firsts. Yeah. I mean, yeah, she was doing that way back when.
or gospel rock, I guess you could
Yeah, I
call it.
guess it's gospel. Yeah, she was gospel.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, if you look at the architects of rock, she should be right there, I think.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I
There.
think most of the greats, if they're worth their salt, will mention her as a
Oh
very
yeah.
important influence, you know.
Yeah. She's just so much fun to listen to as well.
Yeah, yeah, and super fun to watch.
Oh yeah. Just a phenomenal performer, player,
Yeah,
singer. Yeah.
yeah, she's great. I never
Yeah.
get tired of watching those videos.
Oh, I don't either.
Whatever's
Yeah.
out there of her, I love. It's so great.
Oh, I know.
Great choice.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right, all right. I'm gonna go with my next one. I'm gonna get in my first Beatle.
Uh-huh.
Bring in Sir George. I don't know if he was ever knighted. Actually, they were all knighted, weren't they?
I don't know.
Maybe not. Well, anyway, he should have been. But anyway, yes, Mr. Harrison, definitely on my list of favorite guitar players ever.
Yeah.
Uh, I know he gets ridiculed a little bit for his early playing, right? Where he had to they had to do a lot of takes until he got it right, but whatever. He's a phenomenal player. His Again, he's one of those players that just makes everything better as soon as he
Hmm.
touches it with his whatever he comes up with.
Oh yeah.
Um, and he's so humble and not flashy.
Right.
Um, so happy to just kind of be in the background, just doing his thing.
Hmm.
Um, but don't push him because he'll walk out, as we learned.
Retired to his estate in Surrey.
Yeah. Um, but it's just what can you say? And then when he brought in that slide later in his solo work,
Oh yeah. Talk about this, distinctive sound.
yeah.
Oh, that's Harrison. Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So Lonesome George,
Good one.
quiet Beatle.
Quiet Beetle. Yeah, yeah. Here's my next one. Staying in, well, I guess I'm going back to England. Andy Partridge from XTC.
Oh yeah.
Um, Another great songwriter. People might debate his vocals, but I think he's a pretty good vocalist. Quirky. He's a really quirky guitar player. He said he sometimes just puts his hands on the fretboard and where they land, sounds really good to him, and that's where he'll start a song.
Huh.
Which is why a lot of people have trouble figuring out XTC songs. It's like, what chord is that? And he's like, I have no idea. He's not like a theory person,
Yeah.
So, and his counterpart in the band, Dave Gregory, also is probably a more technical guitar player. And I can tell you that that's a, minor 11 diminished, 13th or whatever. But yeah. So yeah, Andy Partridge and Dave Gregory, XTC.
Nice, nice, nice. All right. I feel like in the interest of time, maybe what I'll do is I will just name a handful of others who are on my list.
Okay, that sounds good. I'll do the same.
Okay, so I've got Prince. I've got Mick Ronson.
Oh yeah, good one.
I've got Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Uh-huh. Not
Right.
too shabby. Yeah.
I love Stevie Ray Vaughan. I've got The Edge.
Uh-huh.
And I've got Paul Simon.
Ah,
I mean, people who really know he's not underrated, but he probably
right.
still is not really thought of first for his guitar playing.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, so that's where I'm going to wrap it up. So Prince, Mick Ronson, Stevie Ray Vaughan, The
Hmm.
Edge, Paul Simon. Obviously I didn't mention Jimi Hendrix. I do love Jimi Hendrix, but I
Yeah,
almost
yeah.
wanted to I wanted to let some other people breathe a little bit.
Sure.
So
I
I
was
didn't
thinking
put
the
him on
same
there,
thing. Yeah.
but please don't get me wrong. I love Jimi Hendrix.
Oh no, I do too. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Like Neil Young said, he's in another building, he's on a different floor.
Yeah.
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 He's like, yeah,
Uh,
he's in a category all by himself.
sort of, yes.
Yeah,
Right, right.
that's
Um,
good.
yeah. So those are some of my favorites.
All right, I'll just list them as well. I had Ry Cooder. Um, I think he's great. I think he's a beautiful slide player, and he's been on just about everything. And Keith Richards probably owes him a lot for that 5-string tuning that he showed him. Freddie Green,
Oh, yeah,
Count Basie's guitar player.
yeah.
What a great rhythm player. Oh my God. Rhythm always gets overlooked.
It does get overlooked. It's
But
true.
Freddie Green,
Yeah.
Hubert Sumlin, Howlin' Wolf's guitar player.
Okay.
I love him. Then I have Mike Campbell from
Uh-huh.
Heartbreakers, tasteful guitar player.
Yeah.
Um, I had George Harrison too, the guy from Liverpool that you mentioned.
Yeah. Yeah. He did. Yeah. He's going to be big. People will get to know him better probably.
Yeah, I
Years
guess he
go
played
by.
in some band for a little while.
Yeah.
I think that's all I had.
You didn't have Peter Buck? I thought you might have Peter Buck.
No,
No. Okay.
yeah, I don't really listen to REM that much anymore. I mean,
Yeah.
they, you know, I think he was important. Yeah, I like him.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I like him too. He almost made my list, but
Yeah,
um, I actually bumped him for Mick Ronson.
yeah, I probably would have done the same.
I
Yeah,
love Mick Ronson. Mick Ronson
yeah.
is like, just try to picture Bowie's 70s stuff without Mick Ronson. It's
Oh, I
like,
know. Well, I had now that we're talking about Bowie, Carlos Alomar, who played with Bowie for years
right.
as his rhythm guitarist and musical director, he was phenomenal,
Yeah.
and he still is. And I mean, Bowie always had great guitar players, right?
Yeah.
Earl Slick, Adrian Belew,
Right.
um,
Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Stevie Ray Vaughan was, yeah,
And Mick Ronson went on to play with Bowie, right, on that Rolling Thunder tour.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Pretty important little side guitar player.
Oh, I know. Jeez, I know.
Yeah, and there were a few people who really made the 12-string guitar sound amazing.
Yeah, Roger McGuinn,
Who?
Jim McGuinn, or Roger McGuinn,
Oh,
or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Of course, yeah.
yeah,
Because the 12 string's not for everybody, right? Like you can't just jump on a 12 string and play it well. Like,
right. You got to spend an hour tuning it up. Yeah,
yeah, and it can also sound a little dated and sound a little bit
right. Oh, that's
like
the
too
birds.
indicative of a certain kind of music
Oh
sometimes.
yeah,
But when it's used well, like the way they did,
yeah,
so cool. I guess Tom Petty, got some good use out of 12 string too.
yeah. Just are really expensive
They're really expensive.
to use on one or two songs.
Yeah.
That's
But
true.
wow, cool, great lists.
Yeah, I'm sure there's tons we're leaving off, but
Yeah, and I'm sure there's
we'll have to
many
do a part two.
Yeah, we'll have to do a part two, and there's probably people from more current music that we haven't mentioned. But
Right, right.
anyway,
Well, that was fun.
great. Yeah, I enjoyed learning about some new folks I don't know too much about. So
Likewise.
I will do some Googling later.
Google. Get on the interwebs.
Yeah, but great. Thanks, Ted. This was a fun
Thanks, Dan.
conversation. We'll see you next time. We'll pick another great topic.
It's good.
All right.
Good night.